Good afternoon, and welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program.
This program is brought to you by the Southwest TV Translator Association and supported by the Dolores County Broadcasting Network on DCTV.
The News at Noon program is the best assembly of news and local weather for the Four Corners region. Give us your feedback and news alerts at 677-4119.
With all that said, I'm Kendra Cook and my co-hosts are Kelsey Kiesling and Jerry Tope. And now for May 10th, 2016, here's the news. From the Durango Herald, with just days left in the legislative session, state lawmakers are addressing a crisis following a Colorado Supreme Court decision that found the state owes tens of millions of dollars to the oil and gas industry. How that will impact local governments that benefit from severance tax dollars remains unclear, though observers say counties such as La Plata will see less money. One estimate from legislative staff says severance taxes will decrease by about 13% annually given the ruling. The April 25th unanimous decision by the Supreme Court found that the state incorrectly disallowed a deduction related to transportation, manufacturing, and processing costs. At issue was the cost of capital. BP America filed the case pointing to technology it created in the 1980s in southwest Colorado for producing natural gas from coal seams. The company built facilities and transported gas, and so it claimed deductions on the cost of capital associated with transportation and processing, which the state incorrectly prohibited. Current estimates place refunds at around $115 million, though it is unclear how many companies are owed money. Given the ruling, companies are working through their tax filings to determine whether they can send the state a bill. Lawmakers introduced legislation Monday to address the looming refunds. They have until Wednesday, when the legislative session ends, to find at least a temporary solution. The measure would pull from reserve funds to cover initial payments needed in the upcoming fiscal year. The Senate gave initial approval to the bill Monday evening. Counties and municipalities are carefully watching the situation, pointing out that they have already taken a hit on severance taxes.
According to the Durango Herald, a Cortez general contractor is suing the Southern Ute Growth Fund and two attorneys for $15 million over a canceled contract. Chavez Todicini, Construction Corporation owner, Christopher Chavez, a Navajo, filed the federal lawsuit in district court in September 2015. He signed a subcontract with BWR Constructors to lay concrete in Three Springs in May 2012, but the contract was terminated in October of that year. According to court documents, attorney Patrick Morrissey, a defendant, was asked to intervene on the grounds of Indian preference, which he refused to do. The lawsuit also names attorney Thomas Ships and the Southern Ute Growth Fund, the investment arm of the tribe, as defendants. Three Springs is an off-reservation community developed and owned by the Growth Fund. The lawsuit claims Chavez suffered lost wages and income, mental and physical pain, and bankruptcy as a result of the terminated contract. But defendants state in court documents that Chavez's claim is unclear and fails to identify the actors in key allegations. Moreover, he does not provide basis for the $15 million figure or understand the applicability of Indian preference or Title 7. The court has ordered Chavez to file a response to the defendant's motion to dismiss the case on or before May 27th. Chavez told the Herald he would have made $10,000 on the lost contract.
Reported from the Durango Herald, all the indicators for the summer tourism season for Southwest Colorado look positive. This, according to Bob Kunkel, Executive Director of the Durango Area Tourism Office, who said low gas prices, the 100th anniversary of the National Park Service, and the renovations at the Grand Imperial Hotel in Silverton are just a few factors that could boost the tourism industry, which supports 6,000 jobs, he said. We're feeling pretty good. Colorado Tourism Office staff members joined Kunkel last week at the Spring Tourism Industry Briefing at the Strater Hotel. State officials are on a statewide trip to meet with the regional tourism industry workers. While Colorado is the 6th most desirable state to explore, it is only the 17th most visited, and the Colorado Tourism Office is focused on closing that gap, according to Kathy Ritter, director of the Colorado Tourism Office. Ritter started in the state's top tourism job in November, and now her office is working on an industry report to guide the office for 3 years. Mitch Nichols, who is working on the report, said that gathering data and drafting the report is expected to take 8 months, and tourism office staff members plan to visit Durango 2 more times this summer to gather input and to vet priorities. Affordable housing for tourism industry workers and the popularity of vacation rentals are issues likely to be discussed. The office is also gathering data on Colorado's image. While state officials are refining Colorado's marketing, Kunkel's predicted Durango will continue to build on 5 years of lodgers' tax growth. A new seasonal flight to Los Angeles will start in June, and 2 new hotels, the La Quinta Inns and Suites by the Durango Mall and the Fairfield Inn and Suites by Marriott on U.S. Highway 160, are positive signs for increased tourism.
According to the Cortez Journal, negotiations on construction defects reform collapsed Thursday in the legislature, just as state lawmakers began debating affordable housing bills. At the start of the legislative session, lawmakers from both parties said they expected a package of bills to encompass defects reform and affordable housing. The idea is that the fear of defects lawsuits stymies construction of affordable condos and townhouses. As a hearing on 3 affordable housing bills started Thursday, with less than a week left in the session, defects stakeholders said they had come to an impasse. We were willing to agree to new rules on disclosures and homeowner voting to proceed with the construction defect action, but our bottom line was defending families' legal rights to protect their homes, said Molly Foley Healy, an attorney representing the Community Associations Institute. Homeowners were adamant that any effort to curb defects lawsuits should preserve a jury trial, while some on the other side attempted to negotiate to allow for a specialty court or administrative process. While we are disappointed that we could not convince the other side to increase transparency and give homeowners a voice in whether their most precious asset, their home, is tied up in long and costly litigation, we are not without hope, said Lakewood Mayor Adam Paul, a stakeholder with the Homeownership Opportunity Alliance, a group of business leaders, builders, and elected officials that pushed for reform. The group hopes to return next year with a new push in the legislature.
From the Durango Herald, the May 5th deadline to determine whether to postpone an oil and gas lease sale on sacred land near Chaco Canyon passed without a decision, and agency officials said there's some leeway on a final verdict. Lisa Morrison, a deputy chief of communications for the Bureau of Land Management's New Mexico office, said May 5 was more of our target date. There's no law that tells us we need to decide by that date, so we can adjust it if we need to. 3 potential lease sales totaling 2,122 acres in New Mexico, slated for October, has riled conservation groups, which claim oil and gas operations would destroy a treasured landscape. In March, a BLM project manager accidentally left a voicemail announcing a deferral of the sale to a later date, forcing the agency to backtrack once word hit the media. Morrison said a decision could be made at any time, which would be posted to the BLM's website and sent out in news releases. In related news, archaeologists have documented a 900-year-old village with unique ties to the ancestral Puebloan citadel of Chaco Canyon in the volcanic Badlands of New Mexico. Consisting of more than 100 separate sites, including a 2-story great house with as many as 85 rooms, the newly recorded community shows a strong influence of Chacoan culture while maintaining its own unique qualities. This, according to a report in westerndigs.org. Called Las Ventanas, the most intriguing feature that the archaeologists discovered was an intricate network of trails leading away from the open desert and into the black expanses of the lava field. Though they have months of analysis ahead of them, their investigation of Las Ventanas is already offering unusually lucid evidence of just how diverse and sophisticated the communities were that fell under the aegis of Chaco culture.
According to the Cortez Journal, new hospital safety scores, which assign letter grades to hospitals nationwide and provide a picture of patient safety in the U.S. healthcare system, were announced last week by the Leapfrog Group, a national patient safety watchdog. Mercy Regional Medical Center was one of only 798 hospitals in the nation to receive an A grade ranking among the safest hospitals in the United States. This is the 8th consecutive A grade Mercy has received since the fall of 2012. We are humbled by the national recognition from Leapfrog and attribute our success to the culture of excellence that our providers, nurses, staff, and leaders have created over the years, said Paul Bluth, MD, Mercy's Chief Medical Officer. To achieve this, it takes all of us, physicians, allied health professionals, nurses, staff, operations, and senior leaders, to create a culture where evidence-based practices are adopted. Patient-centered care is the focus, and error prevention strategies become practiced habits, performed as intended consistently over time, he said. And now here's our weather report.
Today's highest chance of rain at 40% this afternoon, sometime with a possibility of up to 0.08 of an inch of rain. The southern counties of Colorado have the best chances of precipitation later today, declining through the night. Tomorrow by 8 a.m. skies will have cleared to sunny and only stray cloudiness Wednesday and Thursday. Temperatures will rise Wednesday and Thursday, with Friday clear, then more stray clouds Friday night and Saturday. 3 tangled low-pressure systems make for a busy bunch of activity on the national forecast map today. 3 areas around Yellowstone have heavy snow possibilities today, and there are 3 areas of the nation where flash flooding is possible today. 2 areas with severe thunderstorms possible. There is a system centered in Montana that will move into Wyoming today, where flash floods are possible. It will move eastward into the Dakotas, giving a wide area of moderate to heavy rainfall across the northern plains and snow in the mountains of Wyoming and Montana. Another low with showers and thunderstorms will reach from Texas to the Ohio Valley. Some of these storms will be severe and bring local flooding. Flash flood areas along the Kansas-Nebraska border and the state of Kentucky today, where thunderstorms will be severe. Severe thunderstorms will also cover the heart of Texas today as well. The northwest or northeast will be under a surface high, and warm and humid conditions will reach from the Ohio Valley to the northern outer banks of North Carolina. And highs in the 80s and 90s with higher humidity will reach deep south and southeast. The south half of Florida will see rain as well. Our highs will be all over the place this week, starting in the mid-60s, mostly in the mid-upper 70s, with that 80-ish high Saturday. Lows will give a frosty 29, then for Thursday, mid-30s, then in the 40s for the remainder of the week. Still, with the coming warmth and sunshine, who will want to stay inside? For the week of May 1st to the 7th, last week's CO2 average was 407.54 parts per million. Week before last was 404.08 parts per million. 1 year ago was 384.98 parts per million. 10 years ago, 384.74 parts per million. And now back to the news.
According to the Cortez Journal, Access Health System has announced that Gary Buck, a certified physician assistant, has joined Cortez Integrated Healthcare, a community health center providing comprehensive primary and behavioral health care for the family, including pediatrics. Buck earned a bachelor's degree in health education for healthcare providers from the University of Utah's Physician Assistant Program and has over 40 years of experience caring for patients. I am thrilled to be working collaboratively with a care team that encourages patients to take an active role in their health, a perfect scenario for healing, Buck said. He is currently seeing new patients of all ages at the Cortez office at 691 East Empire Street. Learn more about Cortez Integrated Healthcare by calling 565-7946 or visiting accesshealthsystem.org.
Reported in the Durango Herald from Fort Collins, Colorado State University isn't alone in struggling to get females interested in computer science majors. Dozens of schools across the country are seeing a similar gender gap that could prevent thousands of women from accessing high-paying, in-demand computer science jobs. Laura South, Grace Walkuski, and Amber Nolte lead CSU's Association for Computing Machinery Women to support female students pursuing computer science and draw more women into the department. The group of about 40 members is one of a handful of efforts that have sprung up at CSU in recent years to increase female enrollment in computer science. The department is experimenting with ways to attract, retain, and graduate more women, Professor Chris Wilcox said. In recent years, Wilcox and other faculty introduced new scholarships, training events, curriculum changes, and high school outreach programs. The changes follow Wilcox and others realizing the gender gap in classes and hearing a growing national chorus about declining female participation in computer science. In 2016, CSU's Computer Science Department started training teaching assistants to recognize and report harassment and to grade without gender bias. The department also started talking to students in introductory classes about creating a positive environment for all students. For the last 2 years, the department has been luring a handful of incoming diverse students to the major with $1,000 scholarships. The school also gives 1 or 2 diverse students excelling in the program $5,000 annually. The average starting salary for computer science majors was projected at just over $61,000 in 2015, according to an analysis published by the USA Today. The only college majors expected to earn more, nearly $60,000 on average, were engineering grads. Money alone might not be enough to meet the workforce needs of employers. To help address demand for programmers, developers, and other professionals, Google and other companies are looking at ways to get more women interested and enrolled in computer science programs. During the most recent 2014-15 school year, 9%, or 10 of 116 undergraduate computer science degrees, were conferred to women at CSU. Nationwide, undergraduate women earned 18% of computer and science information degrees in 2013-14, down from a 37% high back in 1983-84, according to the National Center for Education Statistics. The federal organization did not have more recent numbers readily available.
According to the Cortez Journal, 2 years ago, administrators revamped the Honors Diploma program at Montezuma Cortez High School to focus more on preparing students for college. This year, 6 seniors were on the honors track, but next year's senior class has 29 participating, said program sponsor Sonia Copland. Honors students pick 3 areas of academic success that they will focus on throughout their 4 years at MCHS. Those typically are subjects such as math, science, or English, Copland said. Students also must identify career aspirations, complete 80 hours of community service, and maintain a 3.2 grade point average over 4 years. Senior year for honor students culminates with each student making a 15-minute presentation before a committee on a topic of their choice. Teachers, parents, and administrators judge the presentations, and the winner is awarded a $500 scholarship. This year, only 1 scholarship was awarded, but next year there will be 2, Copeland said. The school redesigned the program to give students an opportunity they didn't have before, Copeland said. Since MCHS students live in such an isolated area, sometimes they don't get to participate in things students in other areas might get to take advantage of, she said. The only criterion for the seniors' presentation is something that shows the greater good. One senior this year argued in his presentation that students are better off if they take music classes in school. Next year, a fine arts component will be added to the program, so seniors will be able to incorporate a performance in their presentations if they choose, she said.
From the Grand Junction Sentinel, in Montrose, baby boy Weber would have been 48 years old this week. His grave marker at Valley Lawn Cemetery indicates the place where the stillborn baby's remains should have been since 1968. Instead, they sat in the dark, dank basement of a troubled funeral business in Montrose, one set of 170 cremains left unclaimed or without their specified disposition. Some of the remains have no name or date to identify who they were, making it particularly hard for the new occupant of the building to try to locate family members and find a resting place for these remains that date back to 1947. Some of the cremains are clearly labeled in urns or temporary containers, but others don't even have full names, are too damaged by recurring basement flooding to read, or resemble bags of sand with names scribbled in markers. One specimen was relegated to a Vlasic pickle jar with only a scrawled question mark on the lid. Others had specific instructions for disposition that were never carried out. Matt Boyle, who moved Rose Memorial Parlor into the building in October, discovered the cremains during renovations. He and his staff took on the challenge of locating the relatives of the deceased, though it was not their responsibility. Boyle is appalled that the former owners didn't follow through with the directions left by family for the cremains. Boyle, who has worked in the funeral business for 20 years, had never seen anything like this. Many questions remain, including how this happened and who is responsible for accepting payment for the specific instructions to inter remains or spread them and didn't carry those wishes out. While many of the business owners who occupied this building are long gone, 2 state agencies are investigating allegations of fraud and misconduct with a past owner. Coleman didn't know about the remains until he did a walkthrough of the property in 2015 after Clark's departure. When Boyle moved in, he discovered many of the remains were labeled, and he connected with the local historical society, making the names on the cremains public to try to reconnect them with family. Remains not claimed by May 29th will be included in a multi-denominational service at the local cemetery.
And now the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of May 2nd through May 8th. The Sheriff's Office received a report of a non-injury rollover accident on County Road 8.7 and Road E. Deputies and the Colorado State Patrol responded. A burglar alarm was set off at a local business. An employee accidentally set it off. The Sheriff's Office received a report of harassment. They responded to a report of a possible altercation at a local business. They also responded to a report of a careless driver. A deputy performed a civil standby in town at the resident's request. A local resident found a small container and turned it into the sheriff's office. The container, which had an unknown substance in it, was properly disposed of. That's it for today's roundup. Stay tuned this week for more updates.
And in today's High Country happenings, May 12th, Thursday, the annual Ute Mountain Mesa Verde Birding Festival's Local Lakes Tour takes place to view waterfowl, waders, and shorebirds. Pre-registration required for tours and Saturday's banquet, but registration and walk-ins are accepted for lectures at the Cortez Cultural Center. For details, go online to www.utemountainmesaverdebirdingfestival.com and call 970-565-1151. Also May 12th on Thursday, the Montezuma County Historical Society presents a free talk by Linda Towell entitled Saving the McElmo Creek Flume, an Update. It starts at 7 p.m. at Hampton Hall at the Methodist Church on North Park Street in Cortez. For details, call 970-565-3987. And if you're in Cortez, the Pinion Project is presenting an outdoor summer movie series every Tuesday night starting on May 24th through June 28th. The movie starts at 8 p.m. Bring your snacks, something to sit on, and a non-alcoholic beverage if you like. For more details, you can call Mike or Lauren at 970-564-1195 or go online to www.pinionproject.org. And for my end note, preparedness. That's today's Talk Tuesday Part 1 topic coming up after the news. Do you and your family have a plan in place for the various types of disasters that may affect you, your neighbors, and your community? The first step is to seriously identify what probable or even possible scenarios might affect you. Take a look at Alberta, Canada this week. What a terrifying firestorm that has been reported, having destroyed about 2,400 homes and buildings and forced thousands of residents out of their homes during one of the biggest evacuations in Canada's history. Their federal public safety minister, Ralph Goodale, said the recovery effort will be a long-term endeavor because at the moment there is no power, no gas, and no palatable water supply in Fort McMurray. Those residents are not looking only at rebuilding places to live with infrastructure, but moving forward looking to what businesses will rebuild and what job opportunities will return. Obviously, losing power for a short time can be overcome without much distress, but dealing with longer-term challenges, water access being a primary need, is something to address when you are trying to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. An EMP blast, a high-energy burst of electromagnetic energy, can occur from a man-made explosive device or from a coronal mass ejection from our sun. These types of disasters can impact the power lines and electronics on a catastrophic level. Fortunately for the way of life in the Four Corners area, we may be much less dependent on agencies, military, and the technological urban lifestyle, such that we will overcome such disasters with a better quality of life than if we lived in other areas. But the important aspect of all of this is for each individual to be responsible, and that means be prepared ahead of a crisis. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes and look forward to hearing what you've been doing to plan ahead. All of the event info presented here is also available on the DCTV at Noon Facebook page. Please let us know your event by sending an email to dcbnnews@gmail.com or call the station at 677-4119.
Again, thanks for tuning in. This program is aired live at noon and rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8 p.m. on Channel 32.1 Dolores County, on Channel 30.4 in Montezuma County, and their cable Channel 5.
And you can also rewatch the broadcasts on YouTube. Search DCTV News at Noon, and please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
For Kendra Cook, Jerry Tope, and all those who are working to bring you DCTV and the News at Noon program from Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. See you next time.